I want to talk about people picking at Omarion, um, Orion's brother, right? From B2K. They're picking on him because he has a gynecologist diaphragm. They're picking on him because he has male breasts, gymomeshikosia, whatever it's called, right? Um, it's maybe like it's a 3-syllable word, 4-syllable word. Um, I never remember what it says, and I never try to pronounce it or anything. But basically, right, people are, poking fun, because here's the dark skinned guy, right? Let's poke fun at him, right? You notice that, if you are from a different prototype, you came along the British Isle, right? And this is how you find genetic markers. You find where people have been, you know, where people have historically dwelled at. He has male breasts, and it's nothing wrong with it, right? Because I have athletic drops. Like when I was 140 pounds, I just had large nipples. You know what I mean? Like, and that comes from being in a loving environment, right? If you're a person who loves on other people, certain characteristics in the trait of you having it, certain things about you will just be polar opposite than someone who is just deficient in it. You know what I mean? Um, so you see, like, he's on stage and he's singing, and people are taking offense to, you know, a camera angle or people being shown in a light where, another person may not like it, or another person may find it, hilarious, or another person may find it, you know, even an attraction, even in an attraction that no one else sees it, right? They love it. So the reason I'm making this video is because I need people to understand something, because this was like the perfect moment to highlight how, you know, a phobia starts, because a phobia, it goes into hate, and hate goes into killing, and killing goes into genocide. This is how people, the things that people are doing, they don't realize that they're the make of something that's causing the world to collapse over anything as simple as God's creation. Um, and again, I don't know why people do these things, because it's like, if I see a flaw in myself, right, I'm not going to badger someone who doesn't see the flaws in something that could be perceived as, you know, being awkward or odd, something that really doesn't matter, right? You know, I don't always want to be toned. You know what I mean? I don't always want, because like that stuff comes with responsibility. And like, it's not even that you're better because you're thin, or because you've grown and become bigger now you have a pot belly. Like, it really doesn't matter, right? The thing is that, are you able to think? And I look at what Robert Mugabe said. He said, don't focus so much on trying to tone your body, focus on how you're going to get those cars. The woman doesn't want, that be that she doesn't want that big masculine guy. Like, he's going to walk down the street, he's not going to be able to fit into a car and be relaxed. She wants that car. So like, this is what I be saying, man. Like, I don't know, man. It's like there's a distance between people who have behavioral patterns, and there's a distance between people who are just carefree. You know what I mean? And you look at the history of people bring along the British Isle, right? You cross the planet 4 times, right? Because you're at an axis. You cross the planet 4 times, and you set up a queendom and a kingdom and a dukedom and a majestic right there where London is, right? That no other place has. And you come to America, you sit before Quebec, depending on if you're from North Carolina, you're from Michigan, you're from New Jersey. You're sitting there around the main major ports, and you just say, I'm tired. I'm tired of building stuff. And you just sit there and you just relax, right? And this is what I see happening with Kodak Black, because he has an athletic drop. And, Omarion, he has an athletic drop and an east and west drop. I'm talking about breastplates, right? And you see this, right? And you say, why is, Kodak Black, he's one moment, he's thin, he's at a regular weight. And then the next moment, he's gaining weight. Then the next moment he's back toned at a thick weight. And then the next moment he's losing a lot of weight. People don't understand energies. And like when you're put before, people, when you have to perform form, you have to do all this stuff just to, like, it's not a problem, right? We enjoy life, we take what comes with it, especially if you don't have a large ego to that point where you feel like, this is going to bother me, what this person has to say. Like a lot of people keep saying, Kodak Black, he's, something is wrong, he needs guidance. And not really, you know what I mean? Like, don't take everything to the core, you know what I mean? Like, I think when a person highlights out the fact that, something is wrong with, what a person says, like, instead of saying that, Kodak Black needs help or he needs guidance, why not highlight what George Bush and Bill Clinton have done in 2 consecutive terms of being the same identically person and not say anything about what they did and how it relates to being themselves in a form of a Democrat, Republican, and how it's the same bureaucratic chokehold, so whatever you want to characterize it as, my vocabulary is very limited right now. So like when you look at it from that sense, when you have a kill mentality, right, between all these different people, and you keep seeing the same things that's being put before them by them, and then they're pushing it over to you, like you didn't just see them switch handguns, you didn't see that. Like you didn't see Bill Clinton give his handgun to George Bush, you didn't see that. But we want to point out Kodak Black, who's servicing and inspiring his people with coded messages. You know what I mean? Like the man then, stood over a woman who used to babysit him and take exorcism, because, in Haiti, right? Catholicism, Orthodox Catholicism, it's there and he knows it, right? And he practices it. So like, I don't know why everybody want to pick at the Omarions, the Kodak Blacks. Like I know people are saying the same things that I'm seeing, but I'm not understanding like why people want to call the dark-skinned person, and then like it isn't other people, it's the people who are in the nation themselves, right? It isn't other people that's doing it, right? you can see where it comes from, but it isn't them. It's mainly the people who are next to the person who is supposed to have some type of kinship out of the blessing that, they were birthed from the same mother. This child may be light skinned, this child may be dark skinned. It really doesn't matter, but you see how that pot is kind of croiled, you know? So I don't know, man. Omarion, keep doing your thing. Kodak, keep doing your thing. And like for people who don't have the blessing, or who do have the blessing, right, of having an appearance that other people don't have to, kind of point at and kind of say like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like that, so I guess you can look at it either way, but I think the ideal situation would be to not take, the things that people say as seriously, because, deep down there's a fetish with the body of black men, and Fred Hampton, he said this, he talked about this, like who puts black male African penises in a container and ship it to China and say, you know what, we're going to harvest it, why would they do that? You know what I mean? Great piece, Yakoki.